A very well-known Kenyan leader has made a prediction that will definitely blow your mind. And this prediction is not going to come to pass, according to this Kenyan, many years from now. No. In fact, it has already started. Now, in the run-up to the 2022 general elections, Professor Kibwana started talking a language most Kenyans did not understand. Indeed, most of us completely ignored him. Professor Kibwana offered himself as an advisor to one of the presidential candidates at the time, William Ruto, and he offered to do it completely for free. Now, most Kenyans were puzzled. We all knew that Raila Odinga was going to win the elections. What was this professor talking about? Well, what he saw at that time that most of us missed, did it come to pass or did it not come to pass? Actually, it came to pass. The only thing that did not happen is that there was no violence. Because what he had clearly seen was a situation where violence would cause the two major presidential candidates to sit down and negotiate. But you'll remember that something very strange that still has no explanation happened. Raila Odinga's supporters, who almost brought the country to a standstill in 2017, when his victory was stolen by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, this time round were quiet. They did nothing. Kenyans mourned in silence because it was even more obvious than it was in 2017 that yet again Raila's victory had been stolen. This time it was much, much more obvious. But for our purposes today, the good professor saw something that none of us saw coming. And now the latest is that he has seen something else. And this time round, this thing that he has seen has already started. A revolution in the country called Kenya. And he says that tear gas will not stop this revolution. Freedom is coming, he says. But now let us look at the boiling political temperatures in the country. What is happening? And then from that, we will easily be able to tell whether Professor Kibwana is spot on yet again or not. And let us start with the latest controversy from the two-term chaps that has raised temperatures considerably in the country. Now, on Sunday, February 22nd, 2026, President William Samoei Ruto attended a church service at Jesus Compassion Ministry, GCM, in Ruiru, where this church was celebrating its 3rd anniversary. But actually things started happening even before this function kicked off. Because one of the pastors suddenly resigned in a huff. Pastor Charles Washira, who headed the Jesus Compassion Ministry, GCM, branch in the United States of America, resigned. Actually, he resigned in protest over Ruto attending this church. Hey, social media was set on fire after this resignation. Now, the gist of his resignation letter can be summed up in one sentence from that letter. And I quote, "The church must not appear indifferent to the pain of the people." That was not the end of the matter. The Gen Zs in this church protested after this church visit. And I'm also informed some members have said they're going to leave that ministry. They're going to leave that church completely in protest. Why? Because they're saying this regime is responsible for the deaths of so many Gen Zs during protests in the past. And therefore, on that point alone, they did not see how this visit by the president for a church service made any sense. Additionally, the Gen Zs were seeing betrayal because Bishop Kiengei had promised to support and side with the Gen Zs. What was he now doing? Hosting the man heading the regime that had done so much damage and indeed continues to do so much damage to the Gen Zs. It doesn't make any sense to them. Now, for those of us who have still not yet seen the anger in the country, the venom against this administration that is seeking re-election, this is a good example that will help you wake up. Because what this means is that going forward, it may not be very easy for the President of the Republic of Kenya to find a church that will host him. Hiyo quote ya Pastor Charles Washira ni kali sana. The church must not appear indifferent to the pain of the people. End of quote.